Hello, this is Arun Gupta and Sanjeev Sahu. In this EclipseCon, we will show in a hands-on tutorial how you can build OSGi-enabled Java EE applications using GlassFish. So, this is about Sanjeev, this is about myself. We are following the tutorial that we have already prepared, and you will have access to these instructions as part of your hands-on lab download. It's a comprehensive tutorial with a full table of contents. And in this tutorial, we will basically walk you through how you can create an OSGi client, an OSGi service, and make them talk to each other using GlassFish. Now, GlassFish already has an OSGi runtime built into it, so all the OSGi bundles can be deployed over there seamlessly. Then what we will do is we will replace the OSGi client with a web application bundle, also known as a hybrid application. This web application bundle is a web application and an OSGi bundle. And so it has the advantages of OSGi modularity and the usual benefits over there. And it also gives you the benefits of Java EE component models. Then we will invoke this web application. This web application bundle will invoke the OSGi service using a CDI injection mechanism that we will explain later in this tutorial. And the last part where we will replace our OSGi service with an EJB based service. And this is where exactly the benefits of Java EE comes into handy. So even though we will deploy this bundle as an OSGi service, but we will still be able to leverage our Java Persistence API mechanism to store the user credentials, which is part of our application, into the database. And then we will show how this web application bundle can easily access this EJB based service. So let's take a look at what exactly we need to build this tutorial. We basically need three pieces of software. We of course need Eclipse. Then we will use Maven to build all of our samples. So as part of that, we will install M2 Eclipse plugin in Eclipse. And then we will use GlassFish as a runtime for deploying our OSGi-enabled Java EE applications. And you will also need the complete source bundle available at this URL to get you started. The complete detailed instructions in order to get started and what software to install and how to install are available from this tutorial. At this point, I'll hand over to Sahu, who will get you started on our very first OSGi service and client bundle.
Hello everyone, this is Sanjeev Sahu. I'm going to talk about developing a simple OSGi service and client using Eclipse, GlassFish and Maven. I'll talk about the Eclipse installation that I have. I'm using Helios Service Release 1. The additional plugins that I have configured here are the M2 Eclipse plugin and the M2 Eclipse extra plugins. These are the details you can see here. As I have also configured my Eclipse Maven plugin to use Maven 2.2.1, as you can see here. As Arun mentioned, we need GlassFish. We have installed GlassFish and it is up and running, as you can see here. Now, as part of this tutorial, as part of this exercise in particular, we'll be developing three bundles. There is a common bundle which is providing an API which will be implemented in the service bundle, and the client bundle will be consuming the OSGi service that will be developed in the service bundle. After completing this section, you will learn about how to use Maven based projects in Eclipse, how to configure the Maven projects to use Maven bundle plugin from Felix to develop OSGi bundles. You will also learn about organizing classes into OSGi bundles, how to control what you want to export and import, how to organize the OSGi metadata for a bundle. We'll also talk about developing OSGi services, deploying OSGi bundles to GlassFish. Now let's get started. As part of the setup instructions, you would have already downloaded the source bundle for the tutorial and exploded it somewhere. Now we need to import the existing projects into Eclipse. The way to do it is File, Import. You can type in Maven here. We'll select existing Maven projects, hit next. We'll browse the directory. In our case, we have exploded it in home, EclipseCon, OSGi-GF, econ 2011. As a matter of fact, when you explode that zip file, it creates this directory called OSGi-GF-econ-2011. We need to select this folder and say open. The empty Eclipse plugin automatically figures out all the Maven modules from this under this directory structure and selects it for you. We need to say finish. It takes a few seconds for the project to be imported. Be patient. You'll see the progress being done here. Now it is done. Now as you can see, it has imported 5 projects for us. There is one. This is the build aggregator form. It's nothing but a project to build all the rest of modules as one group of projects. The more important ones are the common, parent form, simple client, and simple service. The parent form is where we have all the common definitions of plugins, dependencies in one place. That will be extended by all of our projects. To go through the details, this is the group ID we have selected for this form. This is the artifact ID, this is the version, its packaging type is form. More importantly, let's look at the plugin section. We have configured the Maven bundle plugin, which is from Felix project. This is the plugin that will be helping us generating the OSGi metadata for our projects. We have also configured the WAR plugin, the jar plugin, EJB plugin, and the compiler plugin. The WAR plugin is needed to build WAR files. The EJB plugin is needed because we will be building an EJB project here, and compiler plugin because we want to switch the Java source version to 1.6. The jar plugin is because we are generating the metadata using the bundle plugin, and we will be configuring the jar plugin to use the generated metadata that is by the bundle plugin. Now let's look at the other projects. In common project, we have a simple interface called user auth service. It has 2 methods, login and register. This interface will be implemented by our service bundle. As you can see, we have a simple service class implementing the interface. This service this service will be registered in our activator, which is again part of the service bundle. We have a simple activator here which implements the bundle activator interface from org OSGi org OSGi framework bundle activator. That's the interface. We have configured the OSGi properties to denote this class as the activator. This OSGi.properties file is a file that we have configured our Maven bundle plugin to use, where we can add any metadata that will be eventually be part of the eventually part of the jar files metadata. In this case, we have configured this class as the bundle activator. Now if you look at the activator again, this is a very simple activator. It just registers our service object in the OSGi service registry, and this is the interface of the service object. Now let's look at the client. We have a very simple client. It basically waits for the service to be available. When it is available, it registers 3 users in the service object. Now that you have gone through all the projects, let's build it. As I said, we have the build aggregator form. If we can just select that, select run as Maven install. It will install all the modules for us and build them in one go. We'll watch the progress here. So Maven has successfully built the projects for us. Now let's look at them. This is the directory where we have all the projects. So if you do a common target, you see the common.jar there. That just got built. In fact, if you do this, you see all the. Okay, we can copy. We need to copy them. To wherever GlassFish is running. GlassFish is configured to monitor this directory for OSGi bundle. So when you copy all the jar files, there GlassFish will automatically pick them up and deploy. These are the GlassFish log files we are telling. As you can see, GlassFish picked them up and deployed all the OSGi bundles for us, and the message we see is from our client activator. Now let's go back to the document. All this I showed you is captured in this document. You can go through it and follow the instructions at your own pace. So this brings us to the conclusion of this exercise. I'll hand it over to Arun, who will now explain us how to develop a client bundle using web application framework. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahu. Now we're going to build a simple web application client bundle. So the idea over here is we will replace our OSGi client bundle by a web client bundle. We will build a very typical Java EE6 style web application, and with no OSGi dependencies over there. And as we will see how building a typical Java EE6 application, we are still able to leverage all the dynamism of our OSGi services. So those are some of the key points that we will be highlighting in this exercise. We will be creating a few pages. This is basically a user registration authorization system. So using registration.jsp, you will register the page, you register the user, and using login, you can log in the user. And this file is going to create our, capture our OSGi manifest information. So in order to get started, let's go to Eclipse and create a new project. So I'm going to right click here, say new, go to other, select Maven here, and make it a new Maven project. I can use the default workspace location. That means this project is going to be created at the default workspace location. Click on next, and let's pick a Java EE6 Maven archetype. And once we select that, I'm going to pick the web app Java EE6 Maven archetype. Click on next, and here we need to specify certain values. So I'll go back to my document and copy paste the values from there. So this is going to be my group ID, and I can choose the artifact ID as web_client, and the package name automatically shows up for me, and the version does not matter, but let's stick to what our document is doing exactly. And at this point I can say finish. So this creates my template web project following the archetype that we just selected. So I can expand web client and look at, this is my very traditional Java EE application, no OSGi code involved yet. So we can go forward now and select our parent POM over here. As Sahu explained, all the dependencies are defined over there and then inherited in this project. So back in my IDE, I select pom.xml, select the icon here, and I'm going to type Eclipse con. It shows me all the packages with Eclipse con in there. I pick the parent POM here and I select OK. So once that change is done, then let's see what next we have to do. We go forward, and now we're going to add a dependency. so that our user auth service, which was defined in our common package, can be easily inherited. So back in the IDE, we go into dependencies, click on add dependencies here, and again we type Eclipse con. This time we pick common and pick common as a dependency and change it to provided because the bundle has already been pre-installed in our GlassFish runtime, so we don't need to include the dependency here, and click on OK. So after that, our pom.xml changes are complete, and let's see what is the next thing we need to do. So we scroll down, we save the file, and we're gonna copy some code here by which we can update our index.jsp file. So we expand our web resources, and in my web resources I have a index.jsp. In the body, I paste the code that I just copied from the tutorial. So this is a simple welcome page. It says if you're already registered, it allows you to log in, otherwise you can register as well. So now I need to create my login.jsp and registration.jsp page as well. So I right click on the web client, say new, select JSP, and type the name as login.jsp, and take all the defaults, click on finish. Similarly, I can create my registration.jsp as well in the same way. And click on finish here too. So I'll go back to the document, copy some code from there and paste it here. So this is my simple login.jsp page. Copy the code, back in the IDE, go to login.jsp, select the entire code here and paste it here. As you realize, this is a very simple code over here. I have a simple HTML form here, which is taking the action as login servlet, and then I'm accepting username and password and submitting it. So I will need to create login servlet, but we'll do that a little later. Let me copy the code for registration.jsp now. So I scroll down and copy the code for registration.jsp. And as you realize, the code is very similar. The big difference over here is the action is registration servlet. So when you submit on or you click on the register button, the code is submitted to registration servlet. So let's create our login servlet and registration servlet now. So before that, I would like to save all the files. Right click here, new, servlet. We're going to create first our login servlet, and this is going to go into our package. We select the package here, click on OK, select on next here, take the defaults here, click on next. All I care at this point of time, the service method, which basically overrides my do get and do post methods. So I unselect them, select my service method here, and click on finish. So there comes my servlet method, my login servlet. Let's create my registration servlet as well in exactly the same way. So I select my package here as well, and I specify the servlet name. Click on next, take the defaults here, unselect do get, do post, select service, and click on finish. So now I have created my login servlet and registration servlet. Let me copy paste the code from our tutorial to move forward. So here I'm going to copy some code and paste it in my servlet. So let's look at my login servlet first, for instance. I copy the code here. Now this is the place where we are actually invoking an OSGi service. This is where the Java EE6 magic comes in handy. I'm saying inject an OSGi service. Now OSGi service is a CDI qualifier which is provided by GlassFish for you. So it dynamically, by dynamic equals true attribute, dynamically tracks the service for you and listens to all the OSGi events. So if you want to think it that way, this is really the only place we are interacting with OSGi and still able to build a very traditional Java EE6 application. Now we are using JSP servlets for this, but you can use any of the Java EE web frameworks like Java Server Faces, for instance, to make a fancier interface, but still leverage all the OSGi modularity, service dynamism, and everything else. Now let's resolve the import. So right click here. Oh, we got to import OSGi service. That's one. Then we need to resolve inject. So we fix that. And here we're going to import our user auth service as well. And that, if you recollect, is coming from our package that is in a common bundle. So we resolve that import. So after we have fixed that, let's copy some more code that is going to go into our service method. So copy it here, back in my IDE, and replace all the generated code in the service method. Now if you look at the service method, it's very simple over here. All I'm doing is printing some results over here. I'm delegating the request to the service, invoking the login method. Now this is my login servlet, so I'm rightly delegating it to the user authorization service. Let's fix our imports in this case. So, well, this is an easy one. We can fix this one right here itself. Now this one here, there are two options, but since we are dealing with OSGi, we will import it from org OSGi framework package. So this is taken care of as well. Now we have to do something similar in our registration servlet as well. So we can go here, go back to the document, copy this code, paste it in my servlet, go back to the document, copy the code from here one more time, and in my servlet, service method, paste the code here. Since we have seen how the imports are going to be resolved, let's use an Eclipse quick key binding to resolve all the imports. So org OSGi framework service exception, finish, and all the imports are resolved for us nicely. Okay, so we have generated all the code, and now we need to provide the meta information to the bundle saying that this is a web application bundle. And how do we do that? We look back at our document, we create a OSGi manifest information file and specify the web-context path header over there. So copy it here. In my web client, I say right click, new, create a new file, call this file as osgi.properties, click on finish, paste the value that was just copied, and then we're pretty much done at this point of time. So if we look back at our document, everything that we needed to be done is already there. We just need to enable CDI. So even though we added OSGi service over there, but this is requirement by the CDI specification for injection to work. So let's add a empty beans.xml file in the webinf of our web application. So we go back to our IDE, in our web resources, expand webinf, right click, new, create a new file, and call it as beans.xml. This is only a placeholder file indicating that CDI injection is enabled in this particular file. It's completely empty. So at this point of time, we are actually ready. So let's save all the files. Right click here, say run as, and we're going to say Maven install. Once we select Maven install, it's going to go through the entire process of building the web application bundle for us. And the build is successful for us. So in here, notice the location of our generated war file. So let's copy this here and go to our command prompt. And in the command prompt, I'll say cp, paste the location of the war file here, and we will copy it to the auto deploy bundles directory, which is what Sahu explained a few minutes ago. So we hit enter here, and then we can monitor the log file. You can see the bundle automatically gets deployed because this is the directory that GlassFish is automatically listening to. Now, once the bundle is deployed, it shows me the context path. I can go to the browser here, and here I can say localhost:8080 web underscore client. So here, the page that we added is already available now. It says login and register. So let's look at, for example, login. Now, as we saw, there were some users that were already pre-registered for us. So we can type Oracle as a username, and the password would be Fusion. So if we click on login here now, it says welcome Oracle. Now I can go back to my page, and I can say register as well. So I click on register, and here I can register Eclipse, and let's say the password is con. So I click on register. So now I have a new registered user now by the name Eclipse, and the password is con. So if I go back here now, and then I click on login, I can give the same username and password, and now I can log in. So that's very cool. So we have a very traditional Java EE6 web application being able to leverage our OSGi service. Now the fun part of OSGi comes in handy. So let's say my service goes down. How do I mimic that? I can do. GlassFish provides very powerful administration of OSGi bundles. So I can just remove my simple underscore service.jar file, and then the service is basically automatically undeployed. So I go back to my command prompt here. In here, I could just say rm, and I pick the directory location one more time here, paste it, and here I could say simple service.jar file. Once I do that, then let's look at the log console. Here it says simple service activator stopped for me. Okay, now if I go back to the browser, let me go to my main page here, and now when I say login, and let's say I give the same username, Oracle Fusion, and I try to log in, here it says service is not yet available. So that's a very simple, intuitive message given to your user. Instead of throwing a 404 or a 503 error exception, using the dynamic tracking of service, you can customize your error pages and guide user to the right place in your portal. All right, at this point, I will hand over to Sahu, who will take this application forward and build the last part of the exercise.
Thank you, Arun. So far you have seen a simple web application using OSGi talking to an OSGi service. Now, very frequently you would have come up with requirements of services using persistence, transaction systems to be secured. An OSGi service also have to have similar characteristics for it to be usable in an enterprise setup. Now, this is where Java EE comes into picture. We'll be using an EJB based OSGi service and show you how to develop such applications using the existing technologies like GlassFish, Maven and Eclipse. Now let's create a new project. You can type in Maven here. It's a Maven project. Next, select all the defaults here, hit next. We'll again do a Java E6 type of project. Select EJB Java E6 archetype, hit next. We need to give it a group ID and artifact ID. We'll call it the artifact ID as EJB underscore service. The version will change it to 1.0 snapshot, although it is not required to be changed. We'll just keep it as the document says. Then click finish. So now we have a new project called EJB underscore service. Let's look at the pom.xml. We need to extend from the parent pom so that we can leverage all the default configuration done in that project. So let me clear this up for a moment. Yes, parent. Let's choose. If we type in it to 2011, we see all these things. Select parent pom. We have set our parent. Now let's add a dependency. Since we are going to implement a service, we have to depend on the common bundle which provides a interface. The process stays same. We narrow down the search. We select the common bundle. As Arun explained earlier, we set the scope as provided because this bundle is available to us at runtime. We are complete with all our changes to pom.xml, so we can save it. Then now that we have to use persistence in this project, we have to configure the project that way. So we select properties of the project, type in facet here, project facets, select JPA here. We need to see the further configurations. You have to configure it further. We say none because everything will be done by us by the application, done to this bundle at runtime by application server, so we don't have to depend on any specific JPA providers. Hit OK. Now hit apply here. The project has been converted to a JPA project. Now we can go to the next step of creating an entity bin. The package name is the default, which is Eclipse con 2011 OSGi-enabled.ejb_service. That's the package name for this bundle. Our entity class name will be user credential. Hit next. We add a couple of attributes to this entity, each of type string. This user credential stores username and password, so the first attribute's name is name of type string. This is also the primary key. We add one more field called of type string. The name is password. Hit OK. So we have finished our entity creation. No need to change any of the generated code. Now we create a stateless bin. Again, select the package name, give it a bin name. Unselect no interface because we are going to have an interface for this EJB. Hit next. We're going to add the interface. This EJB is going to implement user auth service interface. This is a local interface. We hit finish. At this point of time, the EJB code has been generated. We'll go to the document and copy and paste some code. As you can see here, I am injecting an entity manager into the EJB, so you can resolve the references. Persistence context is from JavaX persistence. Entity manager is from same JavaX persistence. Save. Now let's go back to the document, copy some code. In the register method, we'll have this code. So whatever code has been generated, We'll replace that by a new code. Similarly, we'll replace the login method by some code from our document. At this point of time, we are done with our EJB. Now, GlassFish uses Eclipse link, which provides us a mechanism to create the tables at deployment time. So we'll configure our persistence XML. To do that, for that, you go to the project. Under JPA content, you see persistence.xml file. In the properties section of the persistence XML file, we can configure the table creation property. This is explained in the document over here. So this is the name of the property, which is eclipse link.ddl generation, and the value is create-tables. Value is create-tables. That's it. We are done with our EJB bundle. Now is the time to build it. We select right click. Okay. Sorry, I forgot. So far, we have only developed the J2E portion of the application. Now we'll configure the OSGi property. This is where the OSGi.properties file comes into picture. We'll create a new file under the root of the directory structure in the project. Call it OSGi.properties. This file is used by Maven bundle plugin to read the custom manifest headers. They will be added in the final jar file. This is where we are going to say export-ejb equals all. This instruction tells GlassFish that all the EJBs should be exported as OSGi services when the EJB bundle is deployed in GlassFish. Now that we have done this, let's build it. We say run as maven install. Okay, done. We are done with the build. This is where the jar file has been built. We copy the location and the deployment remains same process. Go to your window, copy it to the directory which is being watched by GlassFish process, which is this directory. And you watch the progress here. Within a few seconds, GlassFish picked up our bundle and deployed it as well, as you can see. Now let's go back to our browser. Last time, as you see, when the service was not available, the web app had told us that service was not available. Now let's retry. Now we'll refresh. We'll continue to use the same parameters that we had passed last time, and it is now working. But as you can see, now that the service has been replaced by a new service, and this service is talking to the database, which is not having the old username passwords, we got a different error message. But this is a more functional problem than software problem. At this point of time, we have shown you how to develop a simple OSGi service and a client, then replace each of them by their enterprise equivalents. We also demonstrated switching the service while the client bundle is still running without bringing down the client bundle, and that is the true power of OSGi. We also showed you how to develop enterprise class OSGi services, which is persistence aware, secured, and transactional in nature. That uh, shows the power of both Java E and OSGi being used together. I'll hand over to Arun to make the final comments.
Thank you, Sahu. So I hope you enjoyed this brief tutorial in building OSGi-enabled Java EE applications. Now, if you have any questions, how do you reach out to us? So we have GlassFish forum. You can always reach out to us. Look at this URL. You can post any questions over here. We monitor it very regularly. If you're interested, we also have a Twitter handle, so you can reach out to us there as well. So the name is very intuitive, at GlassFish. And if you want to learn about more about different videos that we have tons of videos. So go to youtube.com. Name is again very intuitive, youtube.com/glassfish videos. And hey, you know what? Social networking. So you can also go to facebook.com and say GlassFish and like our page, and we post all the information over there. So Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, forums, you can reach out to us any way that you want to. And finally, if you want to download anything, any software that you care about in terms of GlassFish, you can go to oracle.com/javaee, and that brings you to a download page there where you can download SDK. There's documentation, community. There are different bundles available over there. So feel free to reach out to us and let us know, how you're using GlassFish today and how OSGi is helping you build momentum around your applications. Thank you.